Good evening and welcome to the Strand. I'm Christina Foxley, the Director of Events, and I'm so pleased to welcome Nick Flynn here tonight to discuss his memoir, The Ticking is the Bomb. Nick Flynn is the award-winning author of Some Ether, Blind Huber, and Another Bullshit Night in Suck City, winner of the Penn Martha Albrand Award. As Anthony Swofford here tonight claims, The Ticking is the Bomb is bold and brave, and the prose will blow you away, as well his insights on love and being. Behold. Anthony Swofford is the author of Jarhead, a Marine's Chronicle of the Gulf War and Other Battles, a searing contribution to the literature of combat, according to the New York Times' Michiko Kakutani. The book was made into a movie in 2005, directed by Sam Mendes and starring Jake Gyllenhaal. I'll let Anthony tell you more about Nick and his memoir in a moment. Following his presentation, Nick would be happy to take your questions. I'll be walking around with a wireless microphone, so please wait for that before you speak. And then Nick will sign copies of his book for you, which you can purchase downstairs on your way out of the store. There are signed copies. If for some reason you can't stay through the event, please be sure to grab one of those. Please join me in welcoming Anthony Swofford and Nick Flynn to the Strand.
Thanks, Christina. I'm just going to say a few brief words because you're not here to see me. But as Christina outlined, Nick's books, Some Ether, Blind Huber, Poems, Another Bullshit Night in Suck City, his first brilliant memoir, Alice Invents a Little Game, and Alice Always Wins, his play, which I haven't read, but I want to buy that last copy. And now The Ticking is the Bomb. He's... Over the last decade plus, he's given us writing that's dazzled, insightful, and big-hearted. The titles themselves are always evocative and rich with meaning. In The Ticking, Nick pulls off again and again masterful feats. One of my favorites is near the end of the book when he combines Elvis, Plato, George W. Bush, John Kerry, the Abu Ghraib photos, the Bush daughters, and former Japanese Prime Minister Koizumi. He pulls it off and turns it into a 4-page diatribe and lament on the state of the Union. With Obama's seeming continuation of Bush's Guantanamo policies, I think now is the perfect time for a fresh look at what torture does to its victims and the reputation of a country that allows torture to happen in its name because of a weak media and often an often apathetic public. But of course, Nick's book is much more than that. It's also about love, fatherhood, addiction, family, and one man's search for understanding and peace. Nick Flynn.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Tony, so much. Really means a lot for you to introduce me here. Your work's meant a ton to me. So, and everyone, thanks for coming to this event on the day before my birthday. I was just doing a radio show, which was very nice, at in NPR radio show, and they had this scrap paper, which is so great. And I was just sitting there waiting for them to come on, wearing headphones, and there was just this sort of amazing thing I picked up in the back of the scrap paper. Narration: Paradise Lost is more remarkable for the way it was created. When Milton began writing the poem in 1658, he had been blind for 4 years. The entire work was recited by the poet to an assistant, 40 lines each morning for 5 years, says William Kerrigan. And then Kerrigan's voice says, when the secretary was late, he was said to have grumbled around the house, "I want to be milked, I want to be milked." I was just waiting, and then the headset came on, and I had to talk about this book. Milton is also in this book somewhere. I probably can't find him, but Milton has something to say about torture also, and maybe someone else will be able to find it. I can't right now. It all has happened so fast today. But now I'm planning. I forgot that Paradise Lost, the original manuscript, is somewhere in New York, probably at the that library. What's that good library? What's it called again? Morgan. The Morgan. I think it's there. The original manuscript of Paradise Lost. Is it? Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was. I meant to go, and now I want to go again. So the book is The Ticking is the Bomb, and I'm just going to read. Probably not a lot of explanation because it's. I'd have to explain the whole book if I did, and you'll get it after a little while. Hopefully, when I read, you might be lost for the first couple passages. A Box of Dolls, 2007. I've been on this train heading south along this river, the river off to my right, forever it seems. I can't complain. Can people hear me if I talk like this? Yeah. I can't complain. I got on early, got a window. And if I want, I can look up and see the river and whatever is washed up along its banks and the little fallen houses that I still imagine I will one day wander through. Like that one, the door left open, as if someone went out for a look at the river on a day like this, a warm fall day, and simply never came back. 2 months before our daughter is born, Inez and I go to an infant CPR class. I've taken CPR classes before, but never specifically to save an infant. The woman leading it is passionate about safety, pumping us with gruesome details of what could happen if we fail to put our child in a secured car seat, if she swallows a penny, if we spill hot coffee on her. One day you will come upon your baby and she will be blue, this woman says. What will you do? A box of dolls at her feet, dolls with removable rubber faces, and chests that can be compressed only if the air passage is opened. As she speaks, she wraps a face around a skull and assures us that each has been sterilized since the last class. I take them home and boil them, she says. She places a doll face up on the table in front of each of us, along with a packet of alcohol, so we can give the doll's mouth one last wipe before we attempt to revive her. By the looks on everyone's face, we are all a little freaked out. Or maybe it's just me. Take 2 fingers, the teacher says. Place them just below your baby's nipples, in the center of her chest, and push. God's loneliness. The reason I brought up that Milton thing was I'm going to go there for my birthday to see the manuscript. I forgot to say that. I decided to go see the manuscript for my birthday. I remember reading Milton in college, and they said that he had to read books for 10 years before he wrote Paradise Lost, to prepare him to write Paradise Lost. That seemed like ridiculous to me at the time, and now, it seems like, the least you could do to write Paradise Lost. God's loneliness, known. Soon, very soon, I shall be known. These are the first words my father, locked up for robbing banks, or something like robbing banks, wrote me. His return address was 9567328 Federal Prison, Springfield, Missouri. I often hear myself calling him a bank robber, perhaps because the word bank robber has more electricity in it than fuck up. His charge was interstate transportation of stolen securities. He'd entered a few banks and said a few words and passed a few bad checks and left with money that wasn't his. In every bank he'd been photographed, smiling into the camera. Soon, very soon, I shall be known. Known. What else did anyone need to know? According to some Sufis, it was God's loneliness and desire to be known that set creation going. When I was still drinking, though maybe not enjoying it as much as I once had, a lover turned to me, her palm flat on my chest. You know, she said, I don't really know you at all. We'd been together for a few months. Likely she was simply expressing a desire to get to know me better, to get invited inside the walls of my invisible fortress, the one I'd been building my whole life. The thing was, the whole point was that no one was invited in. I might refer to this or that rough patch from my little box of tragedies, hold them up like slides to a light bulb, proof. But that was just to get whoever was listening to hold me a little tighter. It had nothing to do with them getting inside. Inside this fortress, a man was wrestling with his own shadow, muttering that he'd never let himself be surprised, not again. Muttering that he'd never let himself be tricked into getting so close to someone that he might risk missing her. God's loneliness and the desire to be known set creation going. Unmanifest things lacking names remained unmanifest.